and exercise and everything. Just basically, owner's manual for good health. You know, Dr. Oz, he's kind of getting popular, and it's like finally somebody who's talking about it more openly. But still, I think he's making it too complicated. But nonetheless, so I went to UCSD for medical school, for residency, and got a master's in public health, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go tackle the world. But it's not as easy as you would think. Just the basic, simple principle of eat unprocessed food seems to be this evasive concept that nobody quite wants to understand, and I have to have this conversation with my patients like every day, and it just never ceases to amaze me. Like today, I had 2 patients with diabetes, and I said, so, did you give up your sodas yet and sweet drinks? They haven't, believe it or not. So I'm just like, wow, because they're like 3 or 4 medications, and it's almost like they have this feeling like our mystical, glucophage and lactose and insulin is going to cure them of 20 teaspoons of sugar at a time. You know what I mean? So you just talk, and it's just funny. You see people with urine, the most dehydrated, because we do a lot of physicals and even across the spectrum, high school physicals and pre-employment physicals. And then if people get injured on the job, they have to come back and do get back to work physical. So we do all these random urine tests. We get like a sample of the population, and most people are totally dehydrated. And they say, I drink a lot of water. I'm like, but what is this test showing? So anyways, we can go on and on. I actually give a lecture on this stuff. It's like 90 minutes long, up to 90 minutes if I really want to extend it. But I'm going to try to keep it very simple here tonight, and would love to hear any questions that you guys might have. So.
Do we have any questions at this time? Anybody want to start with one? Just by raising your hand. Go ahead, Rich.
I appreciate your comments, and one of the things I have a high interest in health, as Deb knows. But what can we do to motivate, change the game, and motivate and persuade people to take action on what to most of us in here probably seems pretty simple? Because that seems to me to be the real issue now, is where is the game change attached to action and getting people motivated and persuaded to make changes in the way they eat and conduct their lives?
I'll just answer that really quick, since you're looking at me most of the time. Basically, you're fighting a Goliath. You're talking about, what's the latest figure? $32 billion a year on advertising. And that starts with, it's actually in my brochure, 10,000 ads that we see per year since we're a little kid all the way till adulthood, and they target it. These marketing geniuses are targeting every single age, since Sesame Street all the way up. The Olympics were sponsored by who? McDonald's and Coca-Cola, and it's just like, how in the world? You know what I mean? So the NFL is sponsored by Gatorade. All these extreme sports are sponsored by Monster. Monster Energy drink. What's that?
Doritos.
Oh, Doritos. Yeah, Doritos, another one. Exactly. I love that our little new symbol now. It's like this electric thing that looks like an EKG. I'm like, yeah. Get it up with that, it's going to give you a flat line. So just to answer your question, I think every law, like there's just been a couple of laws that were tried with the Democrats. You would think, an Obama was open to a sugar tax. But one of my slides show how there's this author that they kept referencing. I said, all right, who is this bozo, that doesn't believe that obesity is caused by sugar? So it was in JAMA, and so I looked up this guy who was all sponsored by Coca-Cola and all the different, like American Beverage Association and all this stuff. And that's the evidence that the politicians were using to justify their position. So it's just the political thing is not working. So I don't know, one-on-one is great. I get a little frustrated working one-on-one. That's why I started giving these topics to reach more people. But yeah, you're fighting a Goliath basically, and the political system is not really helping out. They should tax it, like sugar, just like they do with cigarettes, but that's not happening.
I would like to speak. I think it's the political issue and also marketing issue. Like Sam's Club, if you like Costco, like they're selling junk food in bulk, and it's so cheap. And you go double cheeseburger is so cheap, you know, versus if it's whole food or natural food, it's expensive. So there are like no incentives for the people. And I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, but if I go shopping for clothes and extra large clothes are like, you know, like filled with that and they're on sale and everything. So I think, you know, something like, you know, something should happen on the large scale that they should really motivate that, you know, because for general people who don't have enough money, then they should have this food available to them, not that expensive. So that's what I think.
Unless you cook at home, then it's actually cheaper than eating at Jack in the Box. If you
Right.
make your, I mean, that's what
Yeah,
you
but
do.
then they are also working class, so, you know,
Then work at the dinner table, work in the kitchen.
work in the kitchen, yeah.
So if I can follow with a positive note, I think to me there's the consciousness is changing from what I see. I was in Europe for a couple of years. When I came back, I was like, what? Dr. Oz is on Oprah? Really? When did that happen? So I think that, you know, that a lot of the answer to, and it's hard for people because the collective consciousness is telling us, oh, just eat it, doesn't matter. You know, it's tasty, just go for it. But I think that the answer is education. I mean, you walk by, you can learn more from a magazine cover walking by it in the grocery store, you know, or watching Dr. Oz. There's a lot of ways that people can take in the information these days, and I think that's just what it's going to take is education. But I think it's coming. I think people are starting to understand.
I think I have to really disagree and go to the medical establishment on this because, you know, watching a sick family member go through it, they don't get it that the medication isn't going to make them better, and nor do the doctors educate them. And it goes from one pill to the next pill to the next pill, and it's like you're a revolving door. So, you know, I know the doctors don't have time and they got to cover their student loans and all of that kind of stuff. But if the doctors don't tell them that, you know, this isn't going to make you better, you know, where does it start? Because they don't believe me.
The doctors can't tell them, isn't it like, don't you do like a code?
Secret society.
I hear your frustration.
Yeah, it's bad.
My sister-in-law, she went through breast cancer. She asked like 3 or 4 different doctors at the Mayo Clinic, you know, what should I eat now? And none of them could give any advice. So it was really, you know, yet another example there. But
And, you know, we don't talk about
frustration.
herbal medicine if anybody's really sick because it might interact with those pharmaceuticals. You know, it's really bad.
I know. We're preaching to the choir.
You can't even eat grapefruit.
All right, well, if you have questions now, can we just write them down? And Jamie, can you pass them out? Just put your hand up and she will collect them and bring them forward to us.
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think what has to happen is there has to be some kind of major public policy debate about this. And certainly, you know, having Dr. Oz on Oprah is a good thing. Michael Pollan's books as being bestsellers and him writing op-eds for the New York Times, great thing, really raises consciousness. You know, there has to be all the consciousness raising things that can be done really right now because basically, you know, corporations right now have all the power. Doctors, and sometimes it's not really the fault of the MDs. You know, their hands are tied. They have they're not going to get paid for a lot of modalities that they might want to use. It's the way the healthcare system's set up.
So we have a question about the water, the quality of the water, and what would you guys recommend, filtered and bottled and all those different things? So if any of you or all of you would like to comment on water quality, if you'd like to know about that.